For 20 years, we've been creating innovation in the CX industry, and now we're seeking out brilliant new perspectives on CX you just won't find anywhere else. I'm Richard Owen. Welcome to the CX Iconoclast. 2024 was a great year for the CX Iconoclast due to the amazing guests we had. In this recap, we look at the topic of operational resilience and flexibility, especially in supply chains. Here we draw on episodes from Chris Gopal and Kevin O'Meara, both of whom bring out the need for resilience and flexible operations, especially in supply chain management. COVID-19, global tensions, these have all underscored the need for companies to pivot quite aggressively, balancing both risk and agility in their planning and execution of their supply chains. In fact, supply chains, both would argue, are no longer just about efficiency. They're a competitive asset that needs to respond to customer expectations.
The days of selling a product have gone, long gone. Today, what we sell is something physical, wrapped in information, wrapped in a service across the life cycle of the customer. And that's what companies are trying to get to grips with. In addition to supplying a product, something physical, they supply information with it, back and forth, real time, not real time, analytics on the customer, how the customer buys. They supply a service, on time, in full delivery, perfect orders, things like that, that they're just now starting to come to grips with. And the people who come to grips with that quicker are the ones who excel. For instance, Amazon has always looked at itself as a supply chain company. Walmart never has. They've looked at themselves as a supply and retail company. However, now they've changed. And they're competing head to head as supply chain customer experience companies. And a lot of others are going to follow suit.
Moving forward, integrating customer success into supply chains is going to be essential. As Kevin O'Meara from Shaw Industries here highlights, operational flexibility will involve high degrees of personalization in supply chains, meaning that the operational flow itself adapts to different customers. If you look back now over this period of time since you got involved in this, could you point out some of the big changes that you've seen over that time?
First thing I would say is that companies have realized that they compete on supply chains, especially retail companies. They really, really compete on supply chains. Probably when I first joined supply chains, which worked in the automotive space a lot. They were tended to be seen as, hey, this is a cost that we can cut. Let's figure out how to cut it. Really get the efficiencies, which I understand and that, but at some point, and it might have been right after the year 2000 or so, what I started seeing is people started saying, no, we can actually compete on supply chains. Velocity of product through the supply chain is in fact a competitive weapon. Being able to get the best products globally is in fact a competitive weapon. And so people started investing in supply chains, which then led to the investment in technology and all the technological advancements that have come with inventory management and transportation management and you've mentioned scenario planning. Just that's kind of probably the newest thing we can talk about at some point is the newest kind of, forward-looking companies are starting to say, it's not about a discrete number, but it is about a bunch of what ifs. And are we prepared for the different what ifs? So it could happen, and how do we protect ourselves against those scenarios?
So there's a lot of talk now about risk mitigation, but doesn't risk mitigation come with a price tag? I mean, the traditional form of risk mitigation was inventory. And if we don't want to go back to an era of exposure to high inventory levels up and down the supply chain, we need to get a lot more sophisticated about balancing risk with customer demand and balance sheet. Do we now have 3 dimensions as opposed to 2?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I want to add one other word to that, and that's agility. So you have the risk mitigation for sure, and that's essentially an insurance policy, or you got to decide how much of an insurance policy you want to buy. But also agility, I think, is key because no one's going to allow you as a company to incur and pass on incredibly higher costs just in case there's another COVID. But what they're going to do is they're going to expect you to be able to move and be able to shift. And I always talk about the fact that you want to have early warning signals that tell you that something is coming, that will be a major issue. You then have scenario plans and mitigation plans that you've already thought deeply through that you can begin to execute. So and I talk about that. What I talk about there is then you're going to take the body blow.
Thanks for listening to the CX Iconoclast from OCX Cognition. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you won't miss any of our thought-provoking conversations. And please get in touch if you want to learn more about what OCX Cognition's predictive CX analytics platform can do for your business by providing complete insights into every account, continuously updated and connected to operations. You'll find contact info in the show notes.